traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes as a new evil rises. There will be danger. There will be doom. There will be ancient temples filled with relics, treasures, and traps. Who will answer the call?
Explorers lead, and we are in need of explorers. Adventure we seek, cross land and sea. Won't you come and join us?
Yes!
Welcome back, everybody, to StarLadder Grand Finals, live from Minsk, Belarus. My name is Frodan, and I'm joined once again by Noxious, and we're going to bring you guys the last quarterfinal here before we head into our semis and ultimately crown a champion. It's the final day, and we're going to find out who's going to win everything. We just saw a great best-of-5 between Stan Sifka and Cypher, where Cypher was able to take the game and the series. Noxious, what'd you think? Did you watch?
Yeah, I watched. Of course I watched. It was actually pretty intense because it was like the first series of the day, and I knew Stan Sifka was going to take his time to make sure that he could maximize the win rate. His decks, he's always bringing something a little bit novel, so that's no exception. We saw Fel Cannon, Reno Lock, a bit of a heavy control Priest, which was supposed to be built for the sake of, oh my god, Backbite Man. Well, for the sake of beating aggro. Never mind that. Let's focus on the guy who's making music right now. Come on, Frodan. Sing along. This is good. This is good, Frodan. It's intentional, actually. Production wants him to introduce the games. You don't understand, Frodan. Is the bagpipe life?
Oh, sorry, what? I was listening to the music.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
I mean, I don't even know we're supposed to talk right now. I thought we were supposed to listen to the music and enjoy it.
Oh, no, well, you can do both.
Do you talk during concerts?
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually take pictures and I bring a laptop. Very, very bright lights.
You know what I do? I go to the front row as furthest front I can go. I whip out my iPad.
Yes.
And I try to deliberately take as many photos and videos as I can so I can ruin the experience for everyone else.
I like that.
No, wait, that's not me. That's the bagpipe guy.
No, the bagpipe.
The bagpipe guy is the guy with the iPad in the concert right now.
Oh, yeah, I like him. I think he's a really pretty friendly guy. I've talked to him earlier. He taught me some bagpiping.
I jest. But you know what's real serious business? We're about to play some Hearthstone. Dog versus Surrender is about to come up, guys, and I know a lot of people have been anxiously waiting for Dog, but let me go ahead and derail the hype train a little bit and direct it towards Surrender as we, as the camera cuts to Dog. So let's go ahead and talk about Dog first.
Yeah.
Dog is a player recently joined Team Liquid a few months ago, and since then has also continued to just put the world on notice that he's an NA player to be feared. And I think a lot of people come in here looking at him and just expect him to roll over this Korean player they may have heard of once or twice. But no, I think Surrender comes in here as the favorite of the series, and I would like to see more out of him.
Yeah, what I like about these two players, I feel like they mirror each other in their play style. At least they did a while back, and the type of decks they like to play. However, Dog this time around brought a very control-heavy lineup, as opposed to Surrender, who took something of a more standard, tempo aggro route, which is kind of interesting because Dog was prepared to deal with that a bit more, and hence why he banned the Rogue, because his decks aren't exactly going to line up amazingly well against it. The Priest, notably, being a big weak spot. Well,
ooh, Dragon Priest against Druid. Well, I guess at least it's. No, he definitely wanted to hit Zoo or something like that.
Yeah, I think, however, it's not as bad as... Sometimes Control Priest will struggle against Druid more so than Dragon. If you tempo well as Dragon, I think you can still get away with the game.
Yeah, he was hoping to hit any of the other two classes with Paladin or the Druid. The Paladin or the Warlock over the Druid. Because the Priest is so good at seizing the early game board if it gets the right draws. And that's what really destroys a deck like Zoo and Paladin. But against Druid, it's very fluid. And that is a really big, important pickup here from Surrender. Having a turn one play with the Living Roots gives him some pretty astounding board control possibilities.
Doc, picking up the Wormrest Agent, would you change your game plan here? Because if you go for Coin Wormrest, you might be able to keep it healed up, but that means you never play a 1-drop on turn 2, and so you're delaying your plays substantially going forward. Whereas this is also forcing the Druid to use this turn 2 to Wrath or Hero Power down the Zombie Chow.
I think you're pretty happy if you see your opponent hero power.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you're okay with seeing Wrath here too, because
As
on
well,
turn
yeah.
3 he's not going to be playing much. And Wormrest Agent provides a big logistical issue for your opponent to overcome.
Oh, wow.
That's also interesting. The Power Word Shield feels really good here too.
I mean, it comes before Keeper of the Grove, and it also means that you can play on turn 3 the Northshire plus heal. But now if you keep the Power Word Shield, you can also make the same play next turn and set up the Power Word Shield perhaps on the Cleric to spread your investment, I guess.
I really like that he's not considering the Wild Growth here. You want to develop a minion first, and Wild Growth is supposed to get you closer to developing minions that you want it to hit. So, if you Wild Growth on 3, you're going to have 5 mana, and that's just going to be awkward because you don't really do anything except hero power. So I like that he was really taking his time to consider. And now,
That's
Dog.
kind of an interesting turn for Dog, because you're looking at this. Oh, wow. Well, this might change things a little bit, but the Holy Nova in his hand right now, you could benefit from, coining out the Drake, or getting a Velen's Chosen up as soon as possible. Instead of a Drake next turn, perhaps you go Velen's plus Powered Shield, forcing a Keeper of the Grove play, which means you'll get a good Nova with the spell damage.
Well, Dog is really thinking about Power Word Shield here, the implications of it. If he attaches it to the 2-5 or 2-4, making it 2-6, then the opponent, the only way that it can punish the Cleric is through Keeper of the Grove. And so he's really wondering if he invests a lot into it. And it turns out his choice was correct, because Surrender almost certainly wants to kill off this Northshire Cleric while silencing the minion and revealing the shade.
Yeah. An interesting turn here, because you can go, if you're Surrender, for the kill on the 2-4 with a swipe, and then maybe kill a Cleric by unstealthing the shade. The problem with that, of course, is that if Holy Nova is coined out, then you lose the shade, and not having a 5-drop means your follow-up curve is a little bit clunky. So maybe you want to just hold on to the swipe, play it slowly.
Yeah, one thing I didn't consider was the Keeper of the Grove means that the Wormrest Agent stays alive, and you want to remove all of the board. But when I was looking at the Keeper play, I like the idea of a 2-4 coming down now, especially before the idea of Cabal Shadow Priest, because Keeper of the Grove is the best target for
Cabal Shadow Priest.
Cabal Shadow Priest and Druid. I don't think there's any other better target.
Yeah, really. I mean, you're not going to steal an Aspirant. It's pretty much a never play. Although sometimes a late
it's
game
a
you'll
rarely,
do it. Yeah, it happens very scarcely.
If the Cabal Shadow Priest has a couple drinks and is feeling a little lonely, needs some company, then maybe. But I mean,
she's
come
thirsty, Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, see, the Keeper falls down, which means, Dog's decision to withhold the Powered Shield implies that Keeper of the Grove still has to come out if he wants to deal with this board.
Right.
And then the buffs are more likely to stick, which, in this case, they're posing a huge problem to Surrender.
Velen's Chosen is an excellent card against Druid because the high health that's created onto a target, making trades very annoying. In order to Surrender to kill it, he has to swipe and trade everything in, and then has a 2-1 at the end of it all, which makes it very
He could go for
weak.
Roar, Wild Growth, and get Dr. Boom as a follow-up, right? Like, you trade everything away, and you still get your 7/7. You're weak to Wild Growth, Light Bomb, that is. Not quite the same card. And you're also weak to Shadow or Death, but considering the hand he's got, he's going to have to hope that he finds something like an Ancient of Lore very soon.
Yeah, I really like that play when Surrender evaluates it. He says, I'm just going to be doing nothing next turn. I need to play a big minion, and big minion indeed. However, you brought it up. The Light Bomb is a big problem, and maybe not even Light Bomb. Like Holy Nova also deals with it, and he can save Light Bomb for something else.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, Surrender also had the option of going for the Aspirant plus swipe, but it can't feel like a very good swipe. You have to make sure that you can pressure your opponent so badly that this Drake doesn't do nearly as much work as Dog is hoping out of it. But now with the Light Bomb, he'll kill his own Drake, even if he goes for it.
Yeah, I was missequencing. You can't attack You can't attack and then hold it over for 3. You have to hold it over
You have
first.
to first, exactly.
So that
yeah.
makes the Drake liable to die. In that case, Shadow or Death or Light Bomb is much more preferable.
Yeah. Well, there's the Entomb play, which lets you keep the Light Bomb for more. I mean, sometimes in the late game, a Shade comes down that you can't answer immediately. Although with double Nova, that's highly unlikely.
He uses Savage Roar as well.
As
and
well,
that's
yeah.
something that makes you more liberal to play with your health and like, okay, I can maybe Shadow or Death, or I can like Entomb this and take it a little bit slower and not worry about the boom bots. A lot of times you worry about the boom bots, like it's 20 damage if I don't kill it with Force of Nature Savage Roar, but I think you're okay.
Well, Surrender does get a decent swipe after all. He keeps the boom bots, which Dog didn't want to deal with right now, and he knew that this was going to be the only weakness of the play that he made. He could have chosen to use Velen's Chosen.
Yeah, but he's in a
opted not
bad
to.
spot.
Yeah, this is a bit tricky. You might have to go for the Cabal Shadow Priest.
Let's see. Do you have to? I mean, it's a pretty good play onto the board, so I wouldn't disagree. And he doesn't have a dragon for Blackwing Corruptor. We also know that the Light Bomb is being a complete, trying to grab all the attention, but it's just covering a Holy Nova.
Lonely Cabal Shadow Priest needing some company. Finally takes their Spirits.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
Had a couple blue moons, and their Nasus Aspirant was wearing a pretty nice green dress.
Yeah, I guess green. I assume green. I don't even know if she has a dress.
I would say
green,
I would
right?
say I would say an aquamarine blue.
Yeah.
Great.
Either
color.
way, a lovely one.
I look great in aquamarine. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Thank you, Noxious.
you're lovely.
Your check's in the mail.
Shade of Nax is actually the card that we were talking about. Nova and Light Bomb deal with it very nicely. So Dog, like nothing here is going to be threatening Dog. Like I think nothing.
I think Priest has got this.
Yeah.
There's really nothing Surrender can do on this turn that won't get him completely obliterated the next turn. And then he's stuck hoping that he can draw an Ancient of Lord or reload, because even if he has combo the following turns, like say he draws Force of Nature and Savage Roar, the Priest will be out of range completely.
What if these boom bots do infinite work? What?
Okay.
No.
Dog with a very wistful chuckle. And that's a full clear.
Well, these boom bots did do infinite work.
It's okay. He's gonna fight. I mean, come on, like Dog. What else do you want?
Yeah,
Dog's got
come on,
6
man.
card advantage,
and 3 board clears plus a single target removal plus a corruptor. I mean, this is essentially
insta call.
Yeah.
Doesn't really need to do anything else. He could heal, but he is so far ahead. And by playing this Wormrest Agent, he gives him a target for the Valence Chosen.
Oh, wow.
It's a great card to draw, though, right now.
Double Drake would be insane for Surrender. Lotheb is also a sick pickup. Wow. This is looking tougher and tougher, but Corruptor needs to be enabled, and it is. There we go.
Big time draw.
Yeah.
Now he can kill off this Azure Drake and challenge the Lotheb.
It's kind of interesting. The Dog looked like nothing could. Like I felt like the boom bots hitting well was basically like when somebody's down on the floor and you're punching them and you've got the battle and they land one good hit. It doesn't matter much overall. Like you still got them beat, but this follow-up could have been a disaster.
Violence is never the answer, Noxious.
It never is. That's why you play Priest and heal yourself.
That's right, man.
And steal their stuff. You steal their stuff. You don't actually beat them.
Yeah, violence may not be the answer, but theft sometimes can be.
Yes.
Is that the moral of Hearthstone?
Oh, wow.
Second Light Bomb here doesn't really accomplish much.
I mean, you could play with Velen's Chosen to keep your... technically, you would live with 1 health, I think.
You can also Holy Nova
Holy Nova
afterwards.
works just as well. Yeah, exactly.
Feels like you're in a pretty dominant position.
The end is coming. Oh, wow.
I mean...
That doesn't matter much.
It's like flashy because you're like, oh, this is a Mana Crystal. It's like, oh, he gains it back next turn.
Another Aquamarine dress.
It is, but this time, I mean, she came back for another night, but there's no Cabal Shadow Priests.
There might be another one
lurking.
coming up,
Yeah.
But she's going to sleep with the Keeper of the Grove, I think, this time around.
Whoa.
This is good.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
Noxious.
Sorry, man. Just sleeping. I didn't say anything else.
This used to be a family show. Feels bad, man.
Dog. Still dropping tempo. Wow. I feel like Surrender should have
getting
been
the
out of
mans
this
he needs
game.
now, right?
Okay, there we go. Well, it's about time, right?
Yeah. The thing is, you don't know if Priest actually has anything.
Yeah.
He might have light bombs, which really don't do too much in the grand scheme of things. So it's one of those it's very funny scenarios where like I was talking about with Nimsh, and I said with you before, Priest actually can't win the game, but it won't lose.
Yeah.
So it's in this very interesting limbo of purgatory where it's like I'm in the waiting room of like I'm waiting for a way to kill you, but
Do you have something for me to use?
And I can't hurt you.
It's an interesting thing too because Control Warrior also like in the Control Mirror. Usually, if you play threats, it's a liability because they end up entombing those. So you kind of just sit around and armor up, leaving Priest in that limbo. And in this case, it's pretty much the same thing. The thing is, Dragon Priest is known for being able to put down threats, contrary to just a pure control style. Entomb a Drake.
He already killed Boom, so there's not really many targets outside of a 4-4 or 5-5 that you take. If your opponent dropped Thorson...
Yeah, it probably won't do much work, right?
You actually would answer it because you develop minions onto the board here.
Yeah, you'd have Light Bomb worst case scenario if everything is really that bad.
Yeah, and then Druid would just innervate hero power. Like, what is he going to do? He's not
Koldar
doing much.
Drake.
Yeah.
You know, Nexus Champion Sarad into Unstable Portal, into Koldar Drake, into Blingtron Doomhammer. That's a lot of damage.
You just said a lot of cards that don't belong in Priest or Druid. And
yeah, it's fine. Nexus Champion Sarah is step 1, though.
All right. Makes sense. All right, well, Innervate finally has use. Innervate Druid the Claw is excellent.
Or could you Innervate Swipe to kill the Guardian immediately to prevent a heal? And that way you're not overextending into a bigger light bomb than it has to be, maybe.
I guess what happens by using this Druid the Claw is that there's 6 power on the board.
Yeah.
So the Drake gets pretty good. But how else are you going to utilize Druid the Claw? Are you going to use him after?
I mean, if you pick up, say, Thorson, you could reduce the cost of some combo pieces later on. I mean, he has to pick up the second lore at this stage, I think, right?
Would you charge Druid the Claw?
In this case, I think I would, yeah. I would be tempted to, unless you're hoping to clean up the minions that are weakened by the Druid of the Claw attacking with the swipe. But this Shadow Word Pain will take care of at least the Keeper, which is a bit unfortunate for Surrender, because he finally had something on the board.
Yeah, he doesn't have to use Shadow Word Pain. He can
Light Bomb and trade the Dark Cultist, I guess. And then get the Drake really big. And you've seen 2 Keepers, so nothing's going to kill this.
So save the Power Word, the Shadow Word Pain.
For the Aspirant number
else.
2, I guess. That's about all there is.
Number 3, you mean?
Yeah, no, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Keeper.
I don't really think there's many targets that you Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah, there's Aspirant, but you can still kill with the Drake. Like, it almost doesn't matter. You might as well push for damage, right? I don't know.
But okay, so his bigger question is, if I trade into it, how does this die? And it's Force of Nature. So that's the really big question. If I lose this to Force of Nature, how much am I in trouble? And Dog's still not really in trouble.
Well, here's the Shadow Word Pain target, hidden inside the Shredder. That might be the one.
Yeah, but this is where Millhouse Mana Storm.
Let me heal up your Shredder.
Yeah. Or it's the third
Succubus,
Aspirus.
right?
Or the Succubus.
Third Succubus.
I was talking about like the Darnassus Aspirant since we're on this.
I would like that, yeah.
Since we're on this meme test.
What are the odds? What are the odds?
The odds are above 0.
Thanks, Rodan. Thanks for this gem of knowledge. Now I'll go to bed very clever.
It's like 1.5%.
Okay, good. As it stands, Dog can heal up the Drake. But here is exactly what we were talking about. The swipe is going to be able to clean up the Drake, which it couldn't have done if the Shadow Word Pain had been used up, right? Because now the Drake is in swipe range.
Jones is in the Priest deck. Well, doesn't really need it. Force of Nature
clears the board. Pretty good.
Yes.
Yes.
And you do want to kill off the Northshire Cleric because you don't want Priest to draw any cards. I mean, this could be a way for him to come back. I mean, this is such a
He has another lore,
game.
man. This is it. Like, if he picks up the lore off the top and Dog picks up nothing good, and we're talking another Twilight Whelp, nothing good.
Another Entomb, another Shadow Word Death. But he's bound to pick up some good minions by now.
He's got a Ysera left probably in there. Oh, there we go. And another dragon left in that hand after this play. There she is.
I'm actually very curious that Dog didn't play Twilight Well before the Azure Drake, because if he didn't pick up a dragon, I wonder. Maybe he was hoping for Blackwing Corruptor. That's probably it.
Right. Hoping to find the 5-drop.
But it's one of those things you have to consider. Like, I actually need to play minions now, not like be conservative.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because Twilight Whelp in Priest accomplishes two things. Against aggro, it's going to be your tempo card. Against many of the mid-range / control, it's going to be your permanent dragon enabler when it doesn't do anything else.
I mean, talk about beating your opponent over the head with peace. I mean, this deck doesn't really win at all. Like
oh no!
It kills not with a knife or a gun. It kills with a spoon.
This hurts, man. Spoon warfare 101.
Hey man, I ran into some mean utensils in my lifetime.
Where'd you grow up?
In New Jersey. I act like I'm some tough guy from the hood. It's like, nah, man. I grew up in a middle suburban Jewish neighborhood.
Where I lived, utensils were dangerous. All right, this is pretty much like I almost want to say Emerald Drake in many cases would have been bad because it's the only BGH target, but since we've already seen that come down earlier, then there's really nothing.
It's fine. If your opponent top decks BGH, you're still in a really good position.
Oh, hello.
I mean, that's actually, I think, the best draw in his deck, because he doesn't actually have a bigger minion than this. So he's just going to concede, realizing that Priest has won. But let me ask you this, Noxious.
Go.
When was the last time you saw Priest get the killing blow in a game? We've seen people concede to Priest.
To Priest all the time.
When was the last time in a tournament setting you saw Priest land the final blow to bring a player to 0 or less HP?
I want to say it's back in the era of Akanai shenanigans with Kolento. It's like way back. Dragon Priest, usually people can see. I guess ATLC with Kibler playing Dragon. There was also some of that. He did get the killing blow at least once, but it goes way back. Yeah.
I mean, it was somewhat rhetorical. It was to kind
of
like
course. But I'm answering anyway. It's just kind of a weird type of deck where people get exhausted playing against it, more so than they lose to it.
It definitely is very frustrating when you have 3 or 4 minutes left in your break before you go back to work, off your shift. And then it's like, all right, one more game. You have the aggro shaman. You don't care. You justify it in your mind because you're killing the paladins.
Of course,
right? Yeah. So you're actually fighting on the side of justice by playing aggro shaman, right? So you're like, I have time for one more game, and then you queue up in Priest, and you're like, oh god.
What have I done?
Yeah, you're like the cat that breathes heavily.
You're hoping a Shadow Bomber comes out turn 1.
Shadow Bomber.
Yeah.
Only you play that deck. Noxious was tearing up the ladder. I saw him destroy Control Warrior with an aggro Priest right before we started.
Yeah, so Surrender here picking up the Zoo against Dog's Reno. I mean, it's Handlock, actually, right? I think he's playing the classic Handlock.
Is he? With Mountain Giants?
I believe Dog wasn't playing Reno. So he's playing the double Molten, double...
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I missed that game. I was actually out of commission at that point.
That's a...
no, because every time it's been banned or not useful to him. So.
Yeah.
So how do you go about it? Flame Imp, do you use your coin? You optimize your power this way. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like right now, because Dog, Dog's running a typical Handlock, you want to force him to enter your board with minions instead of being able to life tap freely and get bigger stuff down the line. So kind of liking this. Although this is...
okay, so there's Voidwalker, which is the immediate choice that comes out and sticks in my mind.
Yeah, it's good with Mortal Coil as well, right?
Yeah, it's just like better stats than all those other minions. Like, I mean, if you just go by simple math, it's like 4 stats versus 3 versus 1. But I wonder if he was thinking about Leopard Gnome just because it has more power on board.
Yeah.
And like, how does your opponent deal 1 damage?
Outside of Juggle, basically.
He's got Juggle, he's got Implosion, he's got his own Peddler, right? Yeah.
This is pretty good, though, for Surrender, because the fact that he has the Abusive and Brand means he's going to get a really good up trade sometime on turn 4, possibly a little bit later, depending on his follow-ups.
Yeah, I like that Brand Bronzebeard fits into Zoot decks these days, because it reinforces the point that it's not a pure aggro deck that people always think like, oh, I lost to Zoo. Yeah. It's just kind of like this aggro deck. Well, it's kind of mid-range these days, in fact.
Yeah, it's trying to slow down a little bit. I mean, it's more of a board control type of aggro deck, which I like. One of the things, too, about the Zoo style nowadays is that there's always been a lot of battle cries. Some of them have been phased out. Dark Iron Dwarf made a comeback. I don't know if Surrender is playing it, but it would be the type of card that fits something you play with Brand, let's say. Defend of Argus, exceptionally strong as well with Brand. So kind of always have good targets with it.
Yeah, I've seen some people run one Dark Iron Dwarf
Yeah,
in
instead
Zoo
of
with
two.
Brand Spear, but it depends completely on style.
Yeah.
Dog choose the life tap instead of develop the Zombie Chow. The Void Walker would have gotten swallowed by the Flame Imp, so it's very good that he chose not to develop that. Now, Surrender has a couple of choices here. I was thinking to popping the egg this turn, but
You
I
might
don't know if
try Juggle Abusive.
Is
See if
that-
you can kill the 2-1. I mean, the best case scenario is you don't have to sacrifice the egg.
Is
And
it
the worst
overextending,
case
though?
scenario, it might be. It might be. But it's like a coin flip. There's a chance I don't overextend because
Yeah.
the egg stays alive.
Well, it's like, what if I juggle and I kill it and I can't actually pop the egg?
Well, that's good though, because then you're not overextending into Hellfire. Right.
That's true.
So it's kind of a
Yeah, that's a good
toss-up.
point.
stop yelling. He's the one yelling.
Well, if he popped the egg, Hellfire is almost the same either way. The 4 damage.
That's a lot of
remains.
damage. 6, 7, 8. There's 8.
16.
Yeah, 16 on the board. There's it's a lot of burst, but you can't start going all in just yet.
The problem is Dog has these Molten Giants,
Yeah.
followed by Defender of Argus, and a Void Walker just to avoid Doomguard getting through. That would spell the end. And that's exactly what...
Oh, is he
Handlocked
going all in, or is he
wants.
trading into... I'm assuming he's
he's
trading
gonna
into the
trade.
M gang.
Yeah.
That's probably the... But does that mean he's going to go for the Brand instead of a life tap?
Yeah, I think Brand Bronze Speed here sets up a pretty decently strong board.
Yeah, I guess you're
And,
also scaring your opponent.
I wonder if he's going to... Okay, I was wondering if he was going to go for a risky juggle, but I think this is fine trading the Flame Imp.
All right, nicely done.
And
That's good.
ends up getting pretty decent value here. So
And,
that is 6, 11, 15 damage next turn.
These defender, I mean, life tap lets you play double Molten, but there's no Sun Fury to go alongside them.
With 11 power on board, I wouldn't feel very safe with just a Void Walker.
Yeah.
In fact, he dies if that's the case.
What about Void Walker Defender? Does that save you? What about
You know
Giant
what?
Void
I mean, that there
It's
might be
4.
validity to that play.
Talking
Because
4,
Void
7.
Walker...
Yeah. It kind of forces a
yeah.
weird... I mean, Juggler 2-1 and the 2-4 will be the only ones able to attack.
Well, a bigger question is, when is he going to be able to play a second Defender of Argus?
Yeah.
And if so, what do you even play it on? So, you know, he has to be very cautious not to die here.
It looks like the Defender would be the play. Otherwise, you're pretty much dead on board. Or there's a lot of top decks that
Right.
just finish you off.
And Surrender is, I believe, 2 points off from lethal.
Yeah.
Oh! That's lethal.
That's rough.
Wrecked. Classic Zoo.
Yep, doing unfair things. Oh, just for good measure, throw it to the face. All right, Dog will go down. I mean, this is a matchup
Wow,
that is not
that's
as polarized as it used to be. I remember back in the days where you were always guaranteed a whiplash as handlock. But I feel like Zoo is so much more sticky nowadays.
That was...
A long time ago, but yeah.
Oh, no. I was going to talk about the magnitude of what just happened.
Sure, go ahead.
Dog lost a matchup that, I mean, he had both Molten Giants, so I think he was favored. And not only that, he's got 2 matchups which are very good against Handlock, so he is probably really unhappy. Now, silver lining is he has Patron, which is good against Druid and Paladin. He can queue up Patron, snipe the win, and go for the best chance he can on the final game for the Warlock. But he is definitely pretty unhappy. And Surrender must be feeling pretty good because he's got 2 of the best decks, if not the 2 best decks in the current metagame.
And 2 of the best cards, 3 of the best cards in hand as well. I'm not... Like, this Throttling Berserker is the type of card that Druid just has to scramble to finish off, but when we can play Shredder to counter it, usually it's not that big of a deal. And Dog seeing the Wild Growth here can't possibly be happy about it.
Oh, he's got a stable goal.
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty
something to do.
Yeah.
So Patron Warrior these days has evolved into a more mid-range style deck where you just try to build the board and then use a general finisher, which is, Grommash, Hellscream. You might even have Korkron Elites in the deck,
Yeah.
so that way you have some additional damage.
Fiery War Axe, really big draw here for Dog.
That's
Finish out
huge.
the Shredder. Hopefully nothing absolutely awful comes of it, because things could go bad. However, this is not too awful. Do you coin out a Slam ever?
Well, you can also think
Or-
about just trading into it,
Yeah.
killing it. So that way you don't get punished by Keeper of the Grove.
Exactly. Not getting. If the ghoul gets silenced, then you lose your. Although the 3/1 would then die to Whirlwind effect, and then you could also kill the Keeper with your axe if that were to come out, right?
Yeah, but then you take 3 damage that you don't want to,
Yeah.
and it gets messy. So I think I'm all in favor for it.
Pick up a 5-drop, play on curve.
Yep. And
no
Dog has
execute.
pretty good answer. He's got 2 slams.
Yep. Oh wow, that's awfully convenient.
Yeah. So he can slam twice, coin Dread Corsair, and then kill it. Maybe even something better if he picks up Execute, for example.
I think if you play the first slam and it doesn't kill the opponent, like the minion, and then if you play a second one and it still doesn't, it should be called Grand Slam. Second one. Should change the name like mid fight. Oh man, Death's Bite already picked up for Dog.
Yeah, but he's going to be playing the Dread Corsair now, because
Right.
normally you want to get the tempo with Deathbite, but I'm not sure if he can be that picky.
I mean, getting the 3/3 now is probably worth something because it forces the opponent to play a little bit off. He might consider just removing the Corsair with something like Keeper Hero Power, but maybe that's what you want to avoid. But if he does that, the Death Bite finishes it off, and you can also set up a good frothing down the line.
So there's a couple of pros and cons with coining out the
Corsair,
Dread Corsair.
yeah.
It gives him an answer to the Emperor Thorson, but the con is if he picks up Grim Patron, he actually loses the ability to go for some big wombo combo potential. So saving the coin actually does have a lot of value.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is Dread Corsair can come out for even cheaper the following turn
With
and
the
give you
weapon.
some mana efficiency. Because like say he plays Emperor Thorson, he uses Deathbite, he Whirlwinds, and then he plays Dread Corsair.
And then he sets up a better patron as well as having the Death Bite already. I mean, it's kind of an interesting turn because you don't know what Surrender has in his hand. The Wild Growth leaves everything open. Like, there's anything that could come out of Surrender. Ancient of Lore being there wouldn't even be surprising if it came out of Innervate.
So this kind of play, because I'm imagining Surrender is going to play the Living Roots as 1/1s.
Yeah.
Because in case...
Oh, never mind.
I was thinking he plays it in case he draws Savage Roar, and then he can Innervate Force of Nature Savage Roar on turn 7. But, Dog can make a lot of assumptions based off this. He can either assume that, one, he has a really powerful 7-drop that he's waiting to use, or he has a handful of spells, which happens to be the latter.
Yeah.
And when he sees that Surrender has nothing, at least right now he'll see he has nothing, unless Surrender top decks. Okay.
Yeah. One thing as well about the Living Roots being kept is that a patron board can be managed if you have just a little bit of spot removal you can use on the 2 health patrons. Say the swipe can finish off the 3/3 and the 3/1, but the 3/2 has to go first. So that also gives you a little bit more leeway.
Shredder comes down, makes it really complicated for the warrior to clear very easily.
Or I mean, you probably would you
Yep.
like to smash yourself in the face down below 14 at this stage?
I would actually consider using Execute here because
I think so.
Dog has seen that Surrender's only playing cards from the top of his deck, and also that he's holding cards for a long time, and that he had up to 7 mana to play, and Druid, most expensive card, costs 7. So if he doesn't have minions, excuse me, I was going to call them manions.
Manions! I'm all the manions!
That's what I call my minions, when they're very good.
They're too manly.
Yeah. But if he's not playing minions, then he has to have spells. And if he's playing spells, he's got like combo and maybe an Innervate. So I think it's okay to play the Acolyte, attack phase, execute, evaluate from there, and hero power.
I mean, it also means that playing, your patrons as a follow-up, because you're still waiting to find those. Once you find those, you think you'll have a much better chance of handling any type of Druid aggression. So the moment you try to draw with the Acolyte and maybe get 2 cards out of it, having seen 1 Keeper feels a bit better. It's more likely to work, but...
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the
Shredder armor.
Shredder because
it has to...
Oh, did you want to?
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Just because I was thinking about the patron because he has 2 whirlwinds, which I was thinking, yeah, he can get rid of that death spite. But the death spite with the whirlwinds already introduces even more logistical problems for Druid to remove. So I was thinking that actually keeping the death spite for the patrons is really powerful, and it's also a threat for whatever surrender plays the following turn, assuming he can execute very cleanly.
Right. Surrender is considering, because the thing is, like, you don't want to use those spells as damage on a minion, but ultimately you kind of have to. If what comes out of this has only 1 health, then swiping face feels pretty good, considering the burst you're putting together, and he's not been able to attack your Shredder last turn, or at least couldn't justify. Oh, that's rough. Couldn't justify it, which means he probably won't want to do it again.
Okay,
Oh, well.
so
Good execute here, then. Oh, goodness. Okay.
that's huge.
That is
Good
massive.
patron just arrived into the hand of Dog.
Oh,
But
wow.
one thing that Dog has to be considering is like, wow, he had 8 mana and all he played was Living Roots last turn.
Yeah. How dead am I to a combo play? Well, if I'm above 14, I'm probably somewhat safe. So the question is, how many whirlwinds do I play? Do I find room for armor up? Do I even use a whirlwind here? Because what you could do is just play patron, armor up, coin, and execute on the shredder, and not use any whirlwinds. That's
Maybe you bump into the Shredder, execute it, and then you attack.
maybe you just whirlwind and keep the weapon.
Because if you bump into it, you execute, then you have 2 damage after the Shredder to try and kill whatever comes out, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, the execute looks really clean in a spot like this because you have a lot of AoEs you can use.
Well, the priority is to kill whatever comes out, so if it's a 3 health or higher, Dog's going to be sad.
Oh, God. That is rough. He's going to go for the coin double whirlwind, and he's still above 14, so he's feeling pretty safe here. Gets all the patrons in the world.
Except he's still dead to 1 card, and that is a Savage Roar from Surrender.
The Innervate guarantees that the hero power will go through.
Surrender is... he looks
Praying.
super anxious at the
He's
moment.
like, I have 2 outs that win right now. Can I find them? And he does!
Oh! Dog knows what time it is.
Oh my goodness!
Another favorable scenario ends up turning around against him and Surrender by a very narrow escape here. Able to take the game number 3.
Well, Dog will have to get in here again with that deck because Surrender is going to have to play his 3rd and last deck, which is a Secret Paladin. Dog is going to be favored here, but that also means that his handlock is going to have to face off against the Secret Paladin as well if he wins. Well, that was a pretty sick ending to that game.
Yeah, because Surrender had the nuts draw in the beginning, but then he completely gassed out in the mid game. And then Dog looked like he was going to bring it back, but a couple of factors here. The first was that he had to... the first is that he had to take a lot of damage to the weapons, and that's what Warrior does, but Druid is able to finally get those points of damage. But let's say, for example, Dog was able to get Armor Smiths the following turn, and then Druid wasn't able to combo, and all of a sudden, Druid can't win the game at all. So 1
more health point would have at least extended the game by 1 turn.
Right, but then he would have swiped the face probably.
Yeah, but you might have found a little bit of an armor up in that deck. So it came down to the wire. Surrender with the starting hand that he probably is not looking to have necessarily. It's a bit slow and not very resilient. But
this is an ugly matchup.
Yeah.
The Secret Paladin is so good at destroying the board, and his hand lock, you want to do only one thing for 3 turns, which is life tap.
Yeah.
So Secret Paladin's going to be building muster. They're going to be building their, all their jugglers and mini bots, and you're just going to be sitting there.
This is a god draw though for Dog for this exact scenario. He doesn't know it yet, but it is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you just shut this down with Dark Bomb. Don't get too greedy. I think you might be like, oh, I can tap.
I mean, Surrender with 2 noble sacrifices in hand, not exactly what he's looking for.
No, that's a very
Pretty
awkward
terrible
draw again.
Yeah. Oh, this is just way too slow. Well, you're happy at least, I guess, because you can go coin Lothab into Kings, into Challenger. It's a bit on the slow side, but it gets some work done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy at all if I was Surrender.
Yeah, it's just...
This is a very bad scenario that's starting to get worse. Now he can use Blessing of Kings. The Void Caller, though, introduces a very hard to evaluate tension onto the board.
Yeah.
The reason why I love Void Caller is that it's one of these few cards that introduces a layer of information that's being withheld from your opponent that ends up becoming a huge decision pivot point. If you kill the Void Walker, are you inviting more wrath onto yourself that might ultimately lose you the board? But if you leave it alone, your opponent can pick up a better trade and ultimately get exactly the demon he wants. Or he's not holding a Void Walker at all, or a demon at all, and Void Walker is nothing.
And the Void Caller brings out a Void Caller, which brings out a Malgan as the Demon Chain of Love.
Oh.
But Noble Sacrifice is right there, so Dog cannot guarantee that it'll work. However, would you consider Shadow Flaming that the Void Caller afterwards just to get the Mal'Ganis, or is that just not worth it?
No, probably just Dark Bomb it and Life Tap. You actually have the board at that point.
Yeah, and
so
you can tap freely.
No need to be super dramatic. Like, I have to do everything in my power to kill this 5/2. It might feel like
5/2.
I mean, it might feel like that because you might coin Mysterious Challenger, but you can also just play the Dark Bomb. Because the thing is,
Drake. Is it too small to be worth it? I guess so, because it'll die to the 5/2 soonish otherwise.
Yeah, I think I think another bigger question is if you use Dark Bomb, and you don't life tap. Like say you play Twilight Drake, your hand is not you're not digging through your deck, so you're not actually playing to your main win condition, which is constantly removing while bouncing back between this range of health that's really easy for you to access because of heal bots, and then leveraging your hero power to ultimately win you the game with card advantage. So, if you're not life tapping as handlock, you're probably in a bad spot. So I think Dog is really staying true to what the deck is doing. It's not like Face Hunter where you're like, you don't want to life tap because you just die and you need to just work with the hand that you have.
Yeah, there's a lot less burst because you know it's coming and you've got the answers in your deck as well. And with the heal bot as well, he's pretty safe. What I like from Surrender here is the decision he had to make to either go for Lotheb, which felt really bad, and muster plus 2 secrets to make sure that the challenger then could be followed up with potential better play. But this is kind of just going to give Dog what he wants, he thinks, because he expects a Noble Sacrifice, which is not there.
So with 3 secrets, like you said, Dog knows is that not only is when he attacks, he realizes there's no Noble Sacrifice, but he's also going to know Surrender's holding it. Giving him information about the hand, allowing him to make better decisions. This is something that will definitely factor in because right now he's in a reasonably comfortable spot relative to what is normally happening, which is Mysterious Challenger comes down and Handlock's at like the teens in health, and he might lose the next turn.
So Repentance will hit the Drake, which is pretty bad, but ultimately there's still no good answer for Surrender besides Muster, and that's taking 4 damage.
Yeah.
Not really doing much, and Dog's got to decide, do I want to risk playing this, attacking into Noble Sack, putting out a demon that he handles immediately? And there is no Noble Sack. Dog will have to figure that out later.
It's like the Repentance was a silence for 1 mana for free.
Preemptive as well.
Pretty awesome. The last, of course, is Avenged. It's something that Spectator graciously showed us. Muster and the Noble Sacrifice. So this actually does stall out the Void Walker, which is something that Dog was afraid of, but now he'll get confirmation. Like, okay, if he didn't have Noble Sacrifice, he probably has it by now.
Oh, wow. Big Game Hunter here. Perfect pickup for Dog. Able to pick off that 7/7.
Yeah.
I mean, it is also like the only other target you'd find besides Dr. Boom, and it's also opening up so many good trades.
This is now it's time to Shadow Flame.
Yeah.
For sure, because it's going to land onto it, and then you're going to Big Game Hunter. Absolutely insane turn from Dog here.
And Mal'Ganis is out. Oh, man.
I think you might want Jiraxis.
I like to be a big demon with a weapon. I feel like using it.
I think it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. What doesn't matter here, right? I have a 9/7.
Just because I know Jiraxis is much better with Defender of Argus, and I was really hoping to Drake and Defender next turn. But you can attach it to the Big Game Hunter as well. So. But if he got that Jiraxis, this game was 100% over.
Yeah.
Unless he drew Keeper of Oldemount off the top.
Which, well, now that you mention it.
Which will happen next turn based off of the way the trends are going.
Yeah, so if you tap here for free, you can always play the Peddler, see what you find. Maybe you want to just...
Well, he knows Noble Sacrifice is still up there, so he has to trigger it somehow. he can trigger through the Mal'Ganis and then hide behind his taunts, picking up a very good trade with the 5-3 into the 2-3.
Yeah, exactly, into the 2-3, which is, I mean, you know there's an Avenge left, so it will still have to attack into whatever else is taunted up besides the BGH.
Right.
So the 9-5 should be safe for the time being.
That's the real logistical problem, where the Avenge lands.
Exactly, because that changes a lot as to how the trades are made, but ultimately you still have 2 other minions than Mal'Ganis being taunted up.
Oh! Man, that defender took
Overkill.
the wrath of the Demon Lord right there.
Yeah, regretting ever sacrificing himself. All right, 5-5 means surrender.
It's fine.
Could get, it's perfect for Dog.
Dude, this was supposed to be a bad matchup, and Dog is a couple turns away from turning it completely onto its head and winning it, sending it to Game 5, which, I mean, honestly, do you want it any other way, Noxious?
I kind of want Dog to... I mean, it's been really awesome to see, you know, the last series.
Oh, I get it.
5
Complexity,
games.
bro. Is that what it is?
Yeah, you know, I still feel a little bit of brotherhood, I guess. Brothership.
Wow, you paused a really long...
Yeah,
I was feeling a little, like,
brotherly
sexual
love.
tension here, man.
Brotherly love is probably not the word I'm looking for.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, English is...
Kappa Pride.
Oh, man.
Well, Dog has really good trades.
Does he have...
Does he have lethal?
We're looking at... Yeah, I was going to say,
9,
like, we're looking at
11,
14,
16,
19.
nah.
Yeah, not quite. Peddler could give him a little bit more, but
Nah.
still not quite the lethal.
Mortal Coil first, I suppose. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do it
Jiraxis,
onto
man.
the Shredder?
You're immune.
Oh, he's going to Hellfire. I like that as well.
Oh.
Hellfire has pretty much no downside. Like you don't
Yeah.
actually lose any health, and your minions that you want to
Is it Dr.
keep
Boom?
alive.
Did that just get picked up? Yeah.
Whoa, Boom off the top is pretty awesome too.
Yeah, get rid of that Loatheb and drop the Boom. Means it's going to be even harder for Surrender to deal with this. Nearly impossible. Actually, there's like too many targets for Keepers of Voldemort at this stage.
Yeah, he has to be careful not to like overextend into like a consecration, but yeah, I think he's in a really good spot.
Surrender's face is that of a man who's about to just get his nose punched in. Something's going on, I think. He was raising his
it
hand.
just got punched in.
Yeah. Oh, Tyrion. Did he get disconnected? He raised his hand.
But even with Tyrion, like he can't kill Oh, he can kill Mal'Ganis.
There's nothing. Yeah,
concede.
you still can't do it.
That's it. Game
That'll be
5 is coming up here. So Dog wins a super hard matchup. Like I can't describe to you the amount of times where Handlock just gets overwhelmed by the early game board pressure because you have sticky minions, you have secret sets sometimes to help it. Muster for Battle, expands the board so much, and finally, when Mysterious Challenger hits the board, you just don't have enough.
Right, because you're supposed to be like capitalizing on your big minions sometime in the mid game, but his minions are as big as yours, but he hasn't had to life tap all game.
But one thing that was really important to note was he didn't have early game board. He was passing like with playing a secret on turns 2 and 3. And another thing was Dog actually had really early game plays. He had Dark Bomb, he had Void Caller into other stuff.
Dark Bomb Coil was really, really crucial on the Juggler right off turn 3, right? Just the ability to get rid of the second life of the Juggler as well.
Mm-hmm. So, to be able to win this matchup is just so big. But now he's got the final boss, which is Druid versus the Handlock.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the reason why Handlock is out of the meta and why people play Reno Warlock is because of things like the Secret Paladin and the Druid. Like, and we have the aggro shaman functions, and
it just puts you in rage too low, I guess. Like, you always have to keep healing up, but you only have so many tools. And when giants don't even do the trick anymore, or they set you just high enough that you can't drop them, like double giant plus Sun Fury, you have to get a Reno heal or something along those lines.
The point that I was trying to make was, Handlock is not only weak to the top meta, but it's also collateral damage just by whatever counters the meta happens to be good against them, the aggro shaman, for example. But it's in this weird pocket where it's actually conveniently pretty good against certain things. For example, if he matched up against any priest, he'd destroy them. And I have to imagine that he was really hoping to... Well, he banned Rogue, though. That's interesting. Yeah. Because usually Rogue is something that you want. But either way, it's out of the way. Oh, wait. What the heck am I talking about? I was talking as if there was last year's
there's no
standing.
Handlock. It was going to be the Patron.
You could have corrected me much earlier instead of letting me look like an idiot.
Well, I thought you were talking about the matchup that happened. That he just won against the Secret Paladin.
I was talking as if he had to play Druid versus Handlock. He has to play a good matchup now. Oh, poor Dog. JK. He's actually in a good spot. Very good spot. He picked the Fiery War Axe. That's so good.
Yeah, I feel like Surrender needs to find Minibot. Minibot is one of those cards where if you get it early against a warrior and have a follow-up immediately, then you can do a lot of work. But even against Patron, it's no guarantee since they tend to have so many AoE cards. You know, they play some lists run single revenge. You have the double whirlwind, the AoE from Death's Bite. It's really hard to get anything to stick. And when you finally get to the mid game where you're dropping your big bombs like Challenger, Execute is there to wait for you. It's kind of it's a difficult matchup to navigate at all.
You're saying, sorry, last part was you say it's a difficult matchup?
Yeah, for the Paladin to navigate. It's almost
for sure.
Unmanageable.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just audio cut out there. I apologize. I'm definitely trying to listen. So, taking a look at the hand, the Paladin, again, stuck with not really much early game turns here. And Warrior is okay with passing. Paladin is not. Yeah. Because the more the game goes on, the more combo stuff that Paladin has to deal with when clearing the board, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when you might encounter something like an equality in a Secret Paladin on ladder, that just doesn't happen in the refined list that we see in tournaments very often. It's just not there. On ladder, anything exists in Secret Paladin. I feel like I run into all sorts of things, ranging from Kazan Mystic as a random card, MC Tech. I've run into anything in Secret Paladin ladder, but in tournaments, equality is not there, which makes the patrons nearly unmanageable.
Dog really agonizing whether or not he can coin out this Armor Smith.
Yeah, it's like a control warrior playing here.
Well, it's what he thinks he's going to do. If he coins Armor Smith, then he's dedicated to playing Fiery War Axe or Hero Powering, and then he gets Frothing Berserker out the following turn, and he doesn't get the opportunity to use coin for anything else. But, however, it gives you initiative onto the board.
Yeah, you can deal with something like Minibot a bit better, but if it's Redemption, then you still don't deal with it very well.
There's so many lines that you have to think about based off that, and Surrender passes on turn 2. For Surrender, this is the darkest timeline right here.
Oh, wow. Double Armor Smith for Dog as well. That's going to put him on the board really quickly, and Surrender keeps picking up the top of his curve, one card after the other.
Oh, man. This is great if the game started on 5 mana.
I mean, technically, if a 1/1 lives and you get a Kings into Lothab, into Challenger, into Boom, into Rag, you might exhaust the Warrior, given that there wouldn't be necessarily enough removal. Because Lothab really locks out kind of the removal initiative the Dog needs, and then you keep piling up even more and more.
Well, here's a better way to look at it. I like this withhold from Surrender to not activate Battle Rage by attacking the face. But here's a really good comparison. If Surrender had 0 cards in his hand last turn, the play was the same.
Yeah, didn't matter.
So that's actually kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
He had no cards in hand, and he was stuck hero powering. And now that gives Dog so much room to work with here. And I do want to say I was a little interested in why he didn't play the Frothing Berserker first, but I guess at this point he just feels so comfortable that he can play very conservatively and not overextend into
I think it had to do with the fact that if it wasn't Avenge, then you want to get the War Axe out to kill a 4/3.
Ah, that's a really good point.
Just making sure that nothing goes awfully wrong. And here the Inner Rage with the Patron is just waiting for a Whirlwind to be enabled, and suddenly...
That's next turn. We got it next turn, and the Armor Smith #2 gives pretty firm board control, and it also challenges the Lothab for the following turn.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really sensing Dog might run away with the game here in a turn or two.
But look at that Surrender's hand. I mean, double Challenger, Dr. Boom Rag.
I don't care.
You don't care? Okay,
I invited onto it. I think...
Sure.
I think Dog might be in a prime position.
There's no
to
AoE
end the
here.
game
Like
soon.
you can't play your Patron with the Whirlwind. So the Surrender does get the initiative again, no matter how you look at this. So you're gonna have to bank on Execute carrying you through. That's gonna be a weird turns coming up for Dog.
I mean, how sad are you to part ways with an Inner Rage here? I mean, it is another patron, or actually it's 2 patrons.
Yeah.
But you do manage to kill off Lothab. If he can also... Actually, you can kill off Lothab with just trading and everything as well.
But
then he loses...
The trigger.
He like, exposes Grim Patron to a True Silver Champion.
Yeah, one of the things as well about this is that you want the 1/4 to trigger Noble Sacrifice next turn if there is even a possibility that you need to use it.
Okay.
But if he plays the Patron here,
oh man,
then
he's
it's gonna work
just gonna cross his fingers
perfectly.
And if this works out for him, it's golden.
And it will work out
Yep.
right now.
Surrender is forced to play Mysterious Challenger. Dog realizes this was the exact sequence he wanted.
Yeah,
now
play
he
it
can,
before Repentance.
Yes, because now he can avoid the Repentance, and he can clone the Patrons, and get the Whirlwind Executes. And Dog is feeling extremely confident about his position right now.
Yeah, I mean, one more turn, and the Patrons would have been disastrous. There was no way you could play them into Challenger's Repentance, and you lost the game on the back of this if you didn't have follow-up as removal. However, right now, this 9/8 is not doing anything at all. Or at least very little.
He can slam Execute it if he doesn't want to Whirlwind.
Yeah, might as well. Draws cards. You could keep your coin for Grom. Why not? Unenrageable Grom.
Okay. I mean, there really is no reason not to Whirlwind. You just copy your Patrons.
Yeah.
But say for some example, he wanted to slam first, draw Battle Rage.
Might
and
slam
then
his own
increase.
Patron to get even more of those.
I mean, Battle Rage is the best card he can get right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, that'll do the trick.
Okay. Fiery War Axe allows him to be prepared for anything the following turn. And Surrender, I mean, he's got more of his bombs.
But, well,
I mean,
the
everything
boom
he
bot.
does is ineffective against the Patron Flood.
Yeah.
Patron is worth 5 cards right now. And even more, because if you put out the boom bots, you create more Patrons.
And Surrender, I mean, Dog has knowledge that there is no redemption on this board, so the Shredder is basically just going to die. But the thing is, it's going to kill one Patron. The second Execute is going to be crucial for the following turns, but the Patrons are going to stop replicating at this stage, unless something comes out of this that they can use.
Oh!
Well, never mind.
Copies the Patron. That's not good. And Surrender, what do you do? Do you drop Ragnaros and hope
it hits
for
a
the best?
3/3. I mean, if it hits a 3/3 and there's no Execute, you could run away with some kind of removal play as a follow-up. But
Dog counting his damage.
he's going to trigger the Repentance on Grom, but doesn't mind.
It's a 4. It's basically 8 damage.
Yeah,
you know, because he wants to kill off the Grom. So he gets 8 damage in. He has 12 next turn. That's 12. Weapon is 15.
Yeah, he's actually got it if he
So
brings
he's
him down to 15 now.
12, 8. Oh, wait.
He's got him, yeah. If he plays Grom now.
15. Yeah, he would kill him next turn. I don't mind. He gets stopped by Tyrion. That's the reason why.
True. I guess the Execute does help for that, so you do not get the guaranteed lethal, so maybe there's consideration for not doing it.
Yep. If his opponent's going to play Tyrion next turn, he might as well just do this now.
Exactly.
And I like it. Dog has played this played this game to perfection, and Surrender, unfortunately, is just the victim and at the mercy of what Dog has, and his path to the finals might stop here.
Sludge Belcher with Redemption could give him...
Give his opponent more Patrons?
I don't know. More Patrons coming out is not a good idea.
What are you going to do? You can't stop the Patrons.
I think you might have to just Belcher Redemption and Hero Power and hope that a Consecration deals with left to... there's almost nothing. Could the board be full enough of Patrons that you can get a good Consec, assuming he even runs it? Is that even...
Dog will make sure to avoid letting Surrender top deck Consecration to finish him off. The rest of his Patrons here, because that is his entire game plan. He's all in on these Patrons ever since turn 5, and it's been a brilliant move, both in anticipation for the Mysterious Challenger and the follow-up execution of it.
Yeah, Surrender's in a really bad spot, and this is the match game as well.
He needs to Ragnaros and hit the 4-1.
Yeah.
That's his best chance of survival.
Hope for the best. If it works. If it works.
Oh wait, he's still dead.
He's still dead
no
to
way
12
to,
damage, right?
So
there
this
is
is it.
on board, and he does make the hit, but he still dies. And the game is over. The match as well. Dog takes it. That was a highly, I want to say, unlikely reverse sweep, turning a bad matchup into a good one, and then nailing down the one he was looking for.
Yep, some bad beats for both players, some pretty awesome draws and swings for some of them, but in the end, Dog got the one that mattered the most, which was advancing to the semifinals over Surrender by a score of 3-2.
Yeah, he'll be facing off against Colento, where Cypher will be facing off against Lansanjay, I think, a bit later. Dog is against Entente. That's
yeah,
right.
Dog will
That's
be
right.
playing against Shangzi. Kalento is playing against Cypher. And
Shangzi?
that's exactly what Dog wanted. He said, if there's anything that I want to avoid, it's just Kalento.
Murloc Paladin combo
Yep.
deck is very solid against the slow style that Dog brought to the tournament.
And he also didn't want to play Stan Sivka. So he was like, okay, this is very good for me. And as a result, he's our second semifinals, which means we have only 4 players remaining.
Surrender on the way
Surrender.
out from the event. That is the last we'll see of him. He still goes home with some prize money, though. Yeah.
You know, the winner between Dog and Surrender was my pick to win a tournament. I think even though they started in the quarterfinals, both these players are extremely high caliber. You could arguably put them both in the top 10 of the world in terms of ratings by both the fans and the players. So, well, maybe not the player. Players kind of underrate Surrender, but definitely by his peers, a lot of people consider Surrender to be one of the best players in the world, certainly the best in his region. So I'm really excited to see his future. But once again, it's another mediocre finish where it's like you get top 6, pretty good, but you definitely want the gold. I feel for Surrender, man. I really do.
Yeah, like, we don't pay enough attention. We've talked about this to the top 8. Hey, someone is in front of the camera. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up then. Frodan, I'll be casting with Nimsh for the next game.
That's right. So Noxious and Nimsh got the next one. Semifinal number 1 coming up after this break. You're watching the StarLadder Finals. Stay tuned.